So, Anton, we touched on it in our last question, but being a chiropractor and someone that's been involved with coaching to a degree, um, I don't know, from observation, what do you think are the major causes of suicide in men, particularly in Australia, where it's almost an epidemic?
Yeah, it's pretty serious. I think, touching a little bit on what we said before about maybe some of that macho culture too, I think men really struggle to find someone to talk to, if you like, and just be able to kind of go, hey, it really is, my life is actually falling apart right now, or I'm in Syria, I'm going through a whole lot of stuff, and get genuine support, not like a pat on the back, oh, yeah, sorry to hear that, mate. Oh, you'll be right. Yeah, right. It's like that. That's better than negative, but it's pretty useless, really.
Mm.
And they're feeling a lot. I think the thing is, you see, this is the mistake, I think, or the misunderstanding is, it's not like men don't feel, or men don't feel a whole range of emotions. We get maybe more scared when we feel emotions that are like, oh, feeling insecure or hurt, or feeling let down or betrayed, or whatever the different things are. And it's like even just, we kind of can be quite unfamiliar with that. And so there's fear around that too. And obviously, usually it has quite a financial impact. A lot of, marriage things, mine had massive financial impact. So, you put all this work in. I mean, the next thing I was just carrying, my practice went down like very dramatically, because it's all about where your energy flows. And, if all of a sudden there's a whole lot of stuff going on at home, trying to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 8 or 8:30 in the morning, when you just go, what just happened to my family? Where are they? They've just gone, and I've got to turn up and pretend it's all okay. Friggin' challenging stuff. And mostly we do have to kind of get on with it. So there's not a lot of room for grief, and a healthy moving through the grief of say, a marriage breakup or relationship breakup. And the sense of purpose. I think, like a lot of our big identity, especially if there's a longer term relationship or children, that's a big part of your sense of purpose as a man, as you're providing. Even if the woman's working, you're still providing, obviously. And that just sort of seems to go. And yes, you've got kids to support and all that, but it's, when you lose half your house or all of it or whatever happens. So there's a massive disruption. And as I say, that sense of purpose gets lost a bit, I think, in that. And you're just sort of floating. And you can float into some dark places with that.
Speaking for myself too, I remember that the house that we lived in was the first house I bought. So I imagined myself living there right through to retirement. I was very happy where I was. It was my kind of house. And I felt like that future had been taken away from me, and that it was kind of all meaningless. Everything that I had done to that point was a bit meaningless. So, it can certainly, and you can turn to things like drugs or alcohol or other self-destructive habits, just to get some kind of relief, because the relief that you could be getting by talking about it, like women, healthy feminine women do, it's just not as common for men to do that. So, I think probably if these men's groups that we were talking about had a focus on men with relationship breakups, and everyone could sit around and talk about that, that could be a good thing too, especially when it comes to, because they're the things that I think can really push a man to consider suicide. Something I feel personally passionate about, having been affected by it, having close family members who have chosen that. And the victims are also those who are left behind as well. So very, very passionate about reducing that number as much as possible, because I think there's like 8 every 4 minutes. I can't remember how many it is, but it's 8 an hour or something, whatever it is. But I reckon the vast majority of those would be men. So probably 7 out of 8 easy would be men. So there's some serious things to look at there when it comes to men. And so, yeah, your men's retreat grabbed my eye, and I was very, very interested in how it went. So I'm sure you'd recommend it, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, if you said what are the main themes when men are sitting around talking, it would be their career or business, sure. Their relationships, every time. It was like, where are they at in relationship with, or if they're single, that have that. Most, I think none of the men there were, in this case, were single, or they're in between relationships. So relationships, and then if they have kids, what's going on with them and their kids. So they're the 3 by far the most common things that are coming up. And the other big thing, Dwayne, around sort of that end of relationship is if kids are involved, men often get quite separated from their children.
Yeah.
Like my children I didn't really get, there was no custody issue, but it was just much more convenient for them to live with their mother from where they were going to school and all that. So all of a sudden, from like total hands-on dad and, cooking dinner at night with the kids and going to every sporting event and it was just like, shoot, oh, what just happened there? So it can be pretty, tough. That can be very underestimated as to the impact of that, for a man's happiness, if you like.
Yeah. There's a lot of focus on the separation of from the children's point of view, and so there should be, because they're only kids and they're very vulnerable themselves. But the adults are vulnerable too, and get affected by it. It's not like they're immune to these kind of feelings. And you said your relationship breakdown was amicable. Well, when it's not, and there's kids involved, that opens up a whole new can of worms with a phenomenon called parental alienation, where one parent can really poison the mind of the kids against the other parent and can get really, really nasty. And there's big campaigns to get the courts to understand, well, not the courts do understand it, but we need to get that kind of behaviour into laws a bit more. So that's another subject altogether, far too in depth to discuss here today. But that's another issue that I've been involved with. So yeah. So Anton, men's groups, retreats, way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's great about it, Dwayne, too, is it's not like let's go do therapy and you're not there because you've got a problem. You're there because you're a man. That's it. That's the only criteria.
Yeah.
And it's, to be, around other men, being able to, also it's not all about the actual activities we did. We did all sorts of things. We went out into the bush. We went for bushwalks. We learned how to make fire without matches and all those kind of things because, it was just the sharing time, like as you're cooking dinner, like also really valuing each other's wisdom. Like there were men, who knew all about nutrition, or men who knew all about the plants that were in the nature around us. And it was all like sort of, so men could express their value in a way that was also separate to whatever they did for work. And from that mental health point of view, which we touched on earlier, little bits can go a long way, like it's like, like that line for the, like whether it's leading into sort of more depression or anything, or just that, to just feeling heard and realizing there's men around that can sort of support without trying to fix you, can be a huge shift. It can be, like, as that's a very fine line people can tread and just be given. It's not just hope. I think it's connection. It's just, human beings, and we're geared for connection, and lack of connection or socialization, like in itself, is a serious issue. So men's circles are a way of just like, I guess, creating a way for men to come together and like make it intentional to have that connection. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. And from whatever walk of life you're coming from, and there were all walks of life there, you know, can be a very powerful and kind of fun, by the way. It wasn't all serious, that's for sure. We had a great time.